All right, what is going on, guys? It's Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today, we have a ton to cover in a short amount of time. A lot of things are falling apart. We're going to look at this from as positive perspective as we can, so stick around. This show is definitely one not to miss. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. I can't say thank you enough. All right, what is going on? It is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today, we have a ton to go over, so if you're new here, remember you can always go over and get a full bibliography on our website. On top of that, you can get full notifications of every single time we go live. When we actually press that button, usually that notification goes out. Now, you can get that at marfooglenews.com and sign up for our email alerts. But one really important thing is you have that bibliography. You have a whole list of sources that we got for this show, so you know exactly where this information is coming from. It's very easy to navigate. Just go to our website. Of course, you'll see today's thumbnail. We have arrived at WW3, possible or already begun, winds of change. Once you hit that, you will see that you have every single article, picture, tweet, video, document that we're going to show you here today is available at your fingertips on our website. On top of that, if you're not going there, you will miss stuff like the off-grid giveaway and other things that end up popping up there from time to time. Very soon, we should have a list of other channels, again, that we want to, again, push up and positive reinforce their channels. That will be there very soon here, so make sure to tune into the website. On top of that, you can go back and finish articles that we may have only touched on maybe the headline or close to it, so make sure to go over there and check it out now. All right, and then let's bring in my co-host/internet brother, Dex James, will be joining me for the show tonight. Dex, how are you doing, and what is going on?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I am doing just marvelous.
So we have, of course, so just a little prerequisite to the news tonight. There are some pretty big things happening, and I just want to warn you, if you are easily sensitive and if you're somebody who gets really, really nervous around some of the conflict stuff that's going on, today is especially stressful. So again, I just advise, for those of you that really can't handle it or it makes you freak out, I probably would watch tomorrow's show. Again, tomorrow, we're going to have a surprise. I'll tell you about that at the end. But again, thank you, everybody that has tuned in today. If you are afraid by the things you hear today, then you're skipping steps. And Foogle family members can explain what that means. Again, there's plenty of new people here, so thank you so much for joining us. All right, as prices skyrocket, coupons are harder to find than ever. And this is actually something I have noticed, Dex. I don't know if you've noticed this, but the coupon culture has it's dwindled a whole lot. Now, I'm sure, in fact, now companies have made it basically like, it's not like it used to be where you had these extreme couponers that would, get $200 worth of groceries and end up getting paid $5, which actually happened. They did a whole show about it. It seems like the companies have kind of worked it in, and even if there are coupons, it's not really a real discount. Have you noticed that?
I totally agree. My wife used to do the whole coupon thing, and I used to laugh at how much stuff she could get for very little, but those days are gone, right? And I guess that's what everyone else is seeing too. I'm kind of curious if other people have noticed that you can't either get those deals or you can't even find coupons anymore.
And it's crazy. You don't really get them much in the mail unless it's like a junk thing that's not actually a coupon. It's more of like a, hey, look at this. You get $25 off on, flying school or something. It says the demic. So, well, I do actually want to kind of read this story because it does matter to this. It says, Jill Cataldo is a master of coupons. She began cutting them out to save $1 here and 50 cents there in the Great Recession when she had 2 children in diapers and money was tight. Starting with a training session at the library in her Chicago suburb, she shared what she learned with others and now has a syndicated column and a website where she writes about coupon deals and other ways to spend less. It says, after the demic, the last 2-3 years, however, upended Mrs. Cataldo's world. Paper coupon inserts in the Sunday newspaper seemed flimsier. Even increasingly popular digital coupons were hard to come by. It says, quote, there are brands that I've followed for over a decade that are just not issuing a lot of coupons right now. Ms. Cataldo said, it's kind of frustrating because it's something we came to count on for a long time. Now the steepest rise in the cost of living in 4 decades is making bargains even more coveted. With inflation, this is what should go up tremendously as a tool to help customers, said Sanjay Dar, a marketing professor at the University of Chicago. It says, but that tool is getting harder to come by. In 2021, Kantar Media estimates that 168 billion circulated across both print and digital formats. That was down from about 294 billion in 2015. So you think of that and you say, wow, that's still a lot, 168 billion. We're talking about every company in the world, every place in the world, and that is now cut by nearly half. So essentially, this may not matter to you if you don't cut coupons or things like this, but when you are, and I have done it myself, especially when I was struggling to get by in my early 20s, I used coupons to my advantage. I wasn't like a super couponer, but I definitely, every time I got my receipt and saw a coupon that I could use, I would use that thing. Every time I could get anything at 50% off, 60% off. Now, they have worked in these fake sales that don't even actually apply. They have a coupon, but it will match something that's all over the store, and it's because the product is so overpriced that they then take it down to a normal profit, and they still make money off of it. I believe Kroger, Fred Meyer's around here, they are horrible at it. Every other day they have a sale, but the sale isn't actually, you get the super sale price, 60% off, and it's the same price as somewhere else is just selling it. So there's a lot of fake sales as well. But this is getting serious. I do want to shout out Off Grid. Off Grid was talking about how a lot of different countries and different places are switching off of the dollar, and a lot of places are setting up to do so. This is getting kind of scary because at one point we are kind of seeing the big picture right now. When people like Jack Dorsey said hyperinflation is coming, ... soon, and then a week later left Twitter, it was ominous, and now we're starting to see why. I think that a lot of these guys were given a heads up that things are about to change. Again, hence the name Winds of Change. It is about to change big time, and people that are in the general population are not going to be aware of what happened. They're going to be zoned out on their TikTok. They're going to be every 15 seconds they're going to be paying attention to something else. But they're not going to be paying attention to what is actually going on. We are changing the entire world, and not in a good way. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Fish are reportedly raining from the sky across San Francisco. This is after a week of biblical plagues from locusts and Mormon crickets. And now we, of course, have fish raining from the sky. This is out of San Francisco. It says fish are falling from the sky in parts of San Francisco, and a boom in coastal anchovy populations is to blame. It says Reddit user San Franny posted earlier this month that about a dozen 8-inch silverfish rained down from the sky onto the Friends roof and back deck of the Outer Richmond. It says several other users commented with similar experiences. One person said that they heard a whoosh sound behind me and heard a massive splat before seeing fish scattered on a driveway nearby. It says another commented that they almost got hit by a fish waiting for a bus in the Castro. And a third person said that they assumed a band of roving kids were doing a TikTok sardine throwing challenge on a roof somewhere after seeing several fish fall from an Outer Richmond sidewalk. It says local fishers and researchers are blaming seabirds that because of an explosion of anchovy population off the coast of the Bay Area now have more fish than they know what to do with. From Half Moon Bay to Point Reyes, people are telling them that they've never seen bait this thick. Larry Collins, president of the San Francisco Community Fishing Association, said, quote, I heard stories just last week from guys that said that the water out there was just covered with thousands of birds, and the birds were just sitting on the water with anchovies in their mouth because they can't eat anymore. So what they're saying is essentially these birds are picking up so many fish and they're dropping them on people. Another thing to look back beyond the funniness of this is the fact that why are all of these anchovies popping up? Why are the fish populations, why are all of the animals in the ocean all having such weird things happening, from hammerhead sharks not being able to navigate using their natural magnetic abilities, from, of course, whales beaching themselves, dolphins, and all of these other fish that are mass die-offs. What in the heck is going on in the ocean? To the temperature raising at the very bottom of it. But one of my friends does research on the actual coral reefs, and he says he's never seen something like what is going on right now. As far as the coral reef are dying, we have bees disappearing, insects disappearing, and this is all quite depressing, but it's the reality of what's happening. So again, we will talk about that more in future episodes. Dex, do you, as far as fish, that would be pretty disturbing to see some fall right out of the sky.
Yeah, as I was originally reading this article, I was just wondering what possibly could be the explanation. Like, was there some wind? Was there some storm? Was there something? And it didn't dawn on me that these birds were just overstuffing themselves and dropping fish everywhere. But there has to be a reason, obviously, for them to fall from the sky. And we talk about a lot of things falling from the sky, and today it's fish.
Well, and it could be a sign of the temperatures rising to where these fish are going higher and higher. They are trying to get to apparently colder water, which is pretty crazy. Apparently the bottom of the ocean is heating up and the top is cooling down. So anyways, if you have a comment on this, let us know. Put it in the comments down below. By the way, Jade Hansen, thank you so much for your support tonight. Derek McLovin, again, thank you for your support last night. Kara Fusler, Bible Talk 777, Catherine Wilson, and Faded Adam, thank you for subscribing. And NMC, thank you for subscribing as well. Welcome everybody over on DLive that is popping in. I appreciate each and every one of you over there. Thank you so much, Vicky K, Kimbria, Stacy Bomba, I Love Jesus, and Chance Paladin. Thank you for modding, and I'm sure Gem's there as well. So thank you guys. I appreciate you. And then Bang Bang Rights Group fires back at California AG reported leak of firearm owners' data. Says, quote, he should resign. Dex, I'll have you cover this. Again, this is something that actually relates to previous stories, and we haven't talked about this yet, but you probably know what stories I'm talking about.
Yeah, so if you haven't heard, this happened just yesterday or the day before. The AG out in Cali actually published, and I think he was launching a new system or something, and just was probably through negligence, but who knows? Maybe it was willfulness. Ended up publishing the names of and addresses, names, and a whole lot of other personal information of and what type of license they had, specifically for conceal carry and et cetera. So all of that information was made public. I'm sure it was then captured by people, and it's now been stored, and all of these people are now in the know, so to speak, or in the public, so to speak, including law enforcement and others. So this is, obviously a big group that is very upset by this, and they're coming out demanding, that he resign, or, that something should happen for this type of activity, whether it was incompetence, negligence, or, even willfulness. To leak something like that, but it's pretty big deal, at least for privacy advocates out there and those that believe their 2A is a private issue.
Well, I'm looking to see if any other states do this. Heading into what we're going to be talking about, it's crazy to think that every person who owned a Bang Bang in California now, the people that are against it have their addresses, what kind of things they have, and even the gangsters that want to go, they want a certain type of bang bang. Well, they can go and look at that data that was just put out, and they can find somebody with the bang bang they want and go rob their house. This is crazy though. Like this. You think this is an accident? I'm sorry. This is an accident, just like the leaking of the Roe versus, of course, Wade. I think that this was that kind of accident. So this guy, I don't know what's going to happen, but we will follow it and we will let you guys know. Do you think and do you agree that he should resign? Most of us, I'm on the side. I do think he should resign. I think that he should. I think there should be a punishment for that. That should be some sort of jail time if it was done on purpose. If it was done on accident, truly on accident, then he's still, that's too much. Every single Bang Bang owner, that's just incredible.
Even if it was an accident, there should be safeguards in place when you do something like that. Like you should be testing everything to make sure you're not accidentally doing, when you're dealing with sensitive information about people, that should just be part of the job description. So yeah, it's a failure, even if it's an accidental failure.
It's an attorney general, for whatever sakes. I mean, like, come on. And then U.S. military's mysterious X-37B space plane zooms towards an orbital record. The U.S. military's X-37B robotic space plane is closing in on a mission duration record. The X-37B launched to Earth orbit on May 17, 2020, on the sixth mission for the program, a flight known as Orbital Test Vehicle 6. It says that the Space Force mini shuttle has now been aloft for 773 days, just a week shy of the X-37B record of 780 days, which was set on OTV-5. That program record does not come close to the overall mark for an orbital stay. For example, the Landsat 5 satellite observed Earth from orbit for 29 years. So that is... And we've talked about the X-37B before. Isn't this the one that is kind of mysterious in a lot of ways, that there could be something else that is connected with this thing?
Well, yeah, I think this is a Boeing plane, or spacecraft, but it's also, part of Space Force. It used to be, I guess, the Air Force, but Space Force now, and it's doing a lot of secret stuff. They actually told us a few things that they were doing with their onboard experiments, but the majority of them are all top secret. Of course, it's unmanned, so there's nobody on this, but it's one of those. It kind of looks like a version of the space shuttle, just a more modernized version. It's vertical takeoff, horizontal landing, so it can come back down. They've launched these before, but this is on track, obviously, to set the longest flight for this experimental craft. But one of the things they were doing, by the way, in the testing is they're investigating transferring solar power into radio frequency microwave energy. So think about what may come from that.
So, and we've talked about that kind of thing before, where there would be a power source in space that could beam actual power wirelessly or through radio waves or through these microwaves, whatever it is, into something. Why would we need that, right? Or what could it be good for? Just a thought. That's something that we have brought up on a previous episode. In fact, if you search any of the keywords in this show, if there's X-37-B, most likely you can go to our search bars, search that, and find all of the previous articles and the previous shows where we talked about that. The last time we covered it, it was some of the abilities of this ship, or the prospected abilities of what it was going to possibly do, its secret kind of weapon status, and it could be something very bad. A lot of people don't know exactly all of the stuff that it is doing. All right, and then thank you, everybody that has just popped in. It looks like we have a lot of folks tonight. Thank you so much. Sweetie Turner, Militant Roots, Rebecca Horner, Derek Hartman, a lot of new names. Thank you guys for choosing us to spend your time with. I know that, again, we're probably not the only ones live right now, so I apologize for that. Linda W., Ninja Squirrel, Daggett and Stump, thank you, everybody. Cognitable, Beer Juice, and everyone else. One of the things that we are working out with other channels is we all want to try to get on something to where we're, not stepping on anybody's toes, especially if we really like those people and want them to succeed. So I'll talk about it at the end of the show. We got things in the works. So pretty awesome stuff. All right. And then before we talk about scientists' surprise as a geomagnetic storm opens crack in Earth's magnetosphere, I do want to remind everyone, we actually have a solution for power outages, grid down scenarios, and other catastrophes that really could happen. If you've been wanting to get a generator, I definitely would suggest getting a solar generator. We have one of the best as one of our affiliates, and there's a good reason why. This solar generator is actually flexible and it is expandable. Not only that, you can add mods. This, you can actually get up to 96 additional batteries. Essentially, you can make an entire battery wall that can power for as long as you need it. Again, 96 batteries. I have no idea how long that would power your stuff for, but it would probably be much longer than most people need. This device is something that people have been waiting for. There was a 4-month waiting list. That waiting list is now down to weeks or days. I believe in early July is some of the latest dates I've heard. Now, why? Is because obviously there are things, and this is something that I will be talking about with Alaska Prepper and other people in the future. There are things that have been going on with our resources, such as lithium. There are resources that we do not manufacture here, and we have to go buy from somebody else. Those resources are running dry, and those resources are being fought over, and of course, people are holding things back, and this is my opinion, that there is this huge thing going on about resources. That's why these were delayed by months. Now they're going to be back in stock soon. Again, you have to get on a list to get one. This is something that once you get, it's an amazing system. It is absolutely one of the best solar generators out there. It can actually, right off the bat, if you have a base unit with one battery, you can actually plug in 4 solar panels into it. And if you get the mod, you can actually triple the input to 12 panels. Why this is also important is solar generators are silent. No one is going to hear that you have it. It does not require $7 to $10 a gallon gas. And it is extremely high quality. This is no joke of a product. They are not cheap. They are something that is an actual solution to a real problem. If you've ever lost your power and had an issue with that, then you probably already know. It doesn't have to be the end of the world. It could be a rolling blackout for a week. This is going to take care of you. So again, I would highly recommend going over and checking it out, marfooglenews.com/energy, and make sure to use the code Marfoogle because right now we are one of the few that have an actual discount code up to $170 off on certain packages. Make sure to go check out which combos you can get right now because right now, not only are you close to the ship date, again, you also will get that discount. Now, after whatever batch, I don't know how they do it. If these batches are going to have problems in the future because of other countries, I don't know. But I do know we are heading into some very unknowing times. So this, I think, will save lives in the event of a crazy catastrophe, and I think that it would definitely be convenient. Other than that, you can take it camping. You can power pretty much anything. Again, it's an awesome system. So go over and check it out, marfooglenews.com/energy. Every time you do, you support the reinforcement of the growth of our channel. All right, and then Dex. Scientists surprised, and speaking of, it's like, by the way, we're going to have Wages World on here soon. Wages was sending midnight texts and things because there was a lot of stuff going on over the last couple of days with the solar events. Luckily, we didn't get a really bad one just recently, but there's been a lot of talk about the solar events that are possible in the next 2 years, and this is why a lot of people are starting to protect their stuff. Dex, as far as this goes, this was kind of a surprise, just right out, popped up.
Well, yeah, it certainly is. So they're talking about a surprise storm, but opening a crack in the magnetosphere. So, a little bit more in depth than some of the stuff we've talked about before. But this one is, specifically about how the storm managed to open a crack in the planet's magnetosphere, according to the Space Weather News site. So, yet another effect of these storms, whether it's just, a direct hit can have, an energizing effect across, induction type things, whether it's wires or electrical grids and things like that. But they also have other effects, not just putting lights in the northern sky, but it's also, things like this messing up our magnetosphere. And that, I guess it does come back, it does recover, but it creates these opportunities where things can get a little haywire for a while. And then that can also cause its own problems, right?
So I was just talking about this with another prepper. And one of the things that's going to be different this time around, if solar cycle 25 is as bad as some predict it will be, and looking at a few hundreds of years that they have actually monitored it now, that there's a cycle within the cycles. There's cycles, and then there's cycles of cycles. And those cycles look to be that solar cycle 25 will be a very unpredictable and possibly an extremely strong, very, very bad event here. They are even saying in mainstream science that they believe in 2030 that there will be catastrophic floods around the planet because of the moon's wobble, and there's going to be all these different things. And then, of course, we've talked about the shifting of the magnetic poles. Those magnetic poles, this time, if we had a Carrington-level event just like we did before, that would affect us. Not only do we have equipment and computers and things that are 10 times more sensitive than the telegraphs we had back then that caught fire and blew up, we would have these most sensitive equipment, all of this stuff. On top of that, we are having this shift of our magnetic poles happening, which weakens our magnetosphere. Right now, our magnetosphere is weak. And now, of course, as we're covering right now, there is a crack that just surprisingly opened up. It's almost like it's all happening and it's all lining up at the same time. So at some point you kind of go, well, at some point you're like, okay, this is like fate, right? You can't really prep for fate. What you can do is you can prep for any event that isn't, say, rapture or something like this. You're preparing just for any smaller event to happen than, the main big one, right? Well, I think that a lot of us are looking at it as being responsible at this point, because now we have not only this, we have Cascadia, we have all these different events that could change the world overnight. But this is one of the most reliable. That's the scary part, is this does happen on a regular basis. We have a Carrington level event hit our Earth on average every 140 years, 150 years, and we're at 150 or 160. So we're about 10 years overdue. And again, hopefully it will happen but it doesn't look like that. Especially now, the more that they find out about it, the more stuff that comes out, it's not looking good. And that's not to say be depressed or be scared of it. You should be prepared for all of this, especially if you watch our show. And then, of course, the inside plan. But again, we'll have Wages World on to talk about solar events. I've lots of stuff in the works. You guys are going to be excited, I'm sure. And then inside plan to make U.S. City, I don't know why I can't read, U.S. City physical center of the metaverse that can connect us between worlds. Dex, as our tech expert, this sounds absurd. Why would they do this? And I guess what's the meaning of it?
Well, apparently Orlando is teaming up with a tech company to become this center of the metaverse. And they want to, obviously they're known for a lot of things like, the travel destinations, all the theme parks that are there. And so they're, I guess, one of the early adopters, sort of trying to get in the space and maybe become, as they want to call it, the center or starting point location, so to speak, for the metaverse. I don't know how that actually plays out, because can't somebody else just create their starting point? But they're definitely looking to invest heavily in this. And, the city of Orlando itself, or the whole metropolitan area there, it obviously has a lot vested in the world because their economy is so dependent on travel in, and it's not just local travel, it's the entire world that goes to Orlando, basically because of Disney and everything else. So, they're definitely looking at this probably from a relevancy and a marketing point of view, but then it's also something for us to think about, as we've talked over and over again about this whole metaverse thing and where they're trying to take, all of us, I guess, into this world where we just sit around with goggles on and we don't have to participate in the real world. We can participate in this metaverse of a fake world.
Think about if the last 2 years was an idea of how it would be in the future, where you can't leave your home and you have services for everything. You have tap to pay, and they come and check your door. You have a device in your home that checks your temp and all of this crazy stuff. Songbird, it's more and more like that Songbird movie was like not even predictive programming, like a plan book or something. I want to point out a really, really good comment here. Kanos Kid says, Marf, you were right. Umbrella Academy Season 3 is scary. So many predictive things. Hargreaves performs a great reset and owns all industries after. Kanos, I'm glad you understood that. I'm not going to ruin it for anybody else, but that's a little part at the very end. After all of that, you get that, right? So it's like they were trying to do a parody of real life, but in this like it's like they put all the symbology of everything, including the 3-3 societies and all that stuff. All of it's in there. The symbols, the signs, they literally show signs and things in that season that are ancient signs and things like this. And they thought about it. They thought it through and put that out. But what they are basically putting out there is a reset. And that's what freaked me out about that one. The season 1 and 2, okay. But season 3, that's different. That was like, it almost seemed like a warning under the radar. And then I would like everyone to know you are loved and you matter. We're all here for a reason. Stay strong and be vigilant. Be Real Beast says, God bless. Thank you, Be Real Beast. Thank you for not only supporting Independent, but thank you for sticking around for a long time now. I believe you've been here at probably a year now, right? Well, thank you so much, and I appreciate your support. Thank you, and thank you. And then Jade Hansen, Joseph Newhouse, again, thank you. And Raymond Norman, I believe I missed you yesterday, so thank you. I appreciate that. And then, of course, Irish Rebel, appreciate your support. And then we have highly antibiotic-resistant MRSA in pigs can jump to humans. So if you've ever known anybody that has had MRSA or have ever had MRSA, I saw somebody have it on their finger and someone have it on their leg, and it is destructive, just the normal one. But now there are fears growing that over a strain of MRSA, MRSA, common among farm animals, that scientists say is capable of rapidly adapting to human hosts. It says the World and, of course, the Health and Org lists the Superbug as one of the biggest global threats to humankind due to its resistance to antibiotic medicines. It says the feared strain called CC398 is a growing cause of human MRSA infections and first emerged in livestock around 50 years ago, most likely due to heavy and widespread use of antibiotics in pig farming. It says new research has found that CC398 has maintained its antibiotic resistance over decades across livestock and humans. And the team said that they have found evidence of increasing number of people contracting the infection among those who have direct contact with livestock, and perhaps more concerningly, those who have not. It says historically high level of antibiotics use have led to the evolution of this highly antibiotic-resistant strain of MRSA on pig farms, said Dr. Gemma Murray. So, by the way, I just want to add in there, it seems like a lot of the things with meat has been going down to the point where, Dex, have you noticed that there really, a lot of things are happening to the meat industry right now, to the farming industry, to poultry, to, it's too much.
Yeah, every week it's something new. Now it's pig farmers, right? So, we've just got more and more things to start paying attention to and watch out for in our, food supply. But in this case, it's also, obviously they're talking about this potential of this, antibiotic resistant superbug, so to speak, right? And by the way, these things, it's not just antibiotics. Some of these things have actually grown over time to resist things like alcohol. And I'm talking like when you put alcohol like on a, say, hand sanitizer or cleaning a surface, you clean the surface or you clean your hands, but then some of these superbugs actually have learned or adapted over time to actually thrive off of that. So it doesn't even kill them anymore. So there's some pretty crazy stuff in these with these superbugs as they build resistance to things, whether it's antibiotics or sanitizers or other stuff. So this could be it could easily be one of those things that you don't want to see get out in the wild and turn into a major demic, so to speak.
And there's of course, there's a lot of different things, as diseases and things that we've covered over the farm stock. I just think of the possibility of this whole movement towards fake meat and how people will go, oh, well, we don't want real meat because it has diseases and it has this and that, and get us into eating fake meat out of fear. Just a thought. But by the way, antibiotics and superbugs, that's one of the things that keeps coming up in different TEDx talks, and different scientists are saying that they actually have put like a time frame, like in the next few years, because of overuse of antibiotics, that there will be this emergence of a superbug, and it would be way worse than what just happened, whatever that was, right? So it is something. I try not to use antibiotics unless I really have to. Are you somebody who's taken antibiotics a ton? The thing about it is you get it actually, when everybody takes a ton of antibiotics, then it starts to adapt and starts resisting. Prince Andrew could be the FBI's target after Ghislaine sentencing. Again, 20 years for Maxwell just last week. And now they are saying that they may be going after Prince Andrew. It could be the FBI's next target, of course, and it says she was sentenced up to 20 years in prison for her role in the EpiPen traffic ring. And, of course, lawyers for some of the victims warned. It says the attorneys representing Maxwell and EpiPen's victims on Tuesday called on U.S. authorities to investigate the pair's other associates, including the disgraced British royal. The Mirror reported. It says, obviously, Andrew is one target they will be looking into, lawyer Spencer Cooven said. The Duke of York has largely been out of the spotlight since he was axed from his royal duties in late 2019, following his disastrous attempts to deny knowing longtime EpiPen accuser Virginia Giuffre, which they had pictures of him, and his interview was sweaty and all sorts of jumbled. And it was just the weirdest interview ever. If you never saw that interview, it's definitely entertaining. The guy, tell me what you think. Was he lying? Was he making excuses? Was he saying this, saying that? Tell me in the comments down below. All right, and Maria Perez, thank you so much for your support. I appreciate that. And for Love of Country One says, wow, you never disappoint. Crazy, crazy times. Thank you, Adam, Dex, and all the mods. Thank you again for Love of Country One. I appreciate that. Thank you, and thank you. Kano's Kid, again, it's crazy stuff with the Umbrella Academy. All right, and then before we talk about the FCC demands of President B, sophisticated surveillance tool TikTok be ripped from app stores. We just talked about this recently. I do want to remind you, if you haven't already, if you haven't checked into long-term survival food as far as getting yourself survival food that can be stored and have a shelf life of longer than, of course, even a decade, then make sure to go over and check out marfooglenews.com/prep. Again, this is, they have different packages from a 72-hour kit that has 3 days worth of food for one person, all the way up to, of course, you've got a 1 month, a 3 month, and again, the 3-month supply right now is $150 off with this link. Again, if you want to do that, it comes with everything you need to survive for 3 months as far as food goes. Now, these are MREs, they're packed, and then, of course, in the bigger packages, they're even then double sealed into buckets. So you can put them in your basement, you can bury them in the woods, you can do whatever you want, put them in your trunk. A lot of folks are, of course, doing the same. And because of that, almost every company that does MREs and freeze-dried foods are running out and running low. That is why some of the smaller companies, you'll go to their website and they'll have maybe 1, 2, 3 whole meals to choose from out of 50. In fact, one in particular I went to, I was checking out one. They had literally 3 meals out of 50 because all of them were not available. I checked 4 months later, and it was the same. It was like 4 or 5 meals. So that is what's happening right now. Smaller distributors are getting bought out by big places like the Red Cross is basically writing blank checks to grab up all the MREs. Kind of start asking why. Make sure to go over to marfooglenews.com/prep. You can also get the Alexa Pure Pro, which is a water filtration system that gets rid of 99.9% of all heavy metals and, of course, all contaminants such as pharmaceuticals and other things, because not a lot of people trust their water right now. All right, and that's marfooglenews.com/prep. And then Mystery School, most deaf breadcrumbs in movies and TV shows. The one who knows speaking in parables. Much love, Foogle fam. All the awesome mods, Dex and Adam. Much love, and stay safe in these extremely weird but predictive times. You got that right. So, Dex, as far as TikTok goes, we have talked about this on multiple occasions as far as the different things that happened during the last administration, them looking at the different drones by DJI and other companies from Xi's country. And now TikTok, just a few weeks ago, we talked about how apparently it was accessed from the mainland of Xi's country. And that was one thing that they said that wasn't going to happen. And then look at this.
Well, yeah. So here we have yet again another, blatant attack against them, and maybe it's for rightful reasons. I mean, we've reported enough reasons that I think a lot of us think, hey, we probably shouldn't be using that app. But now the FCC is actually demanding that the app stores take it down. Right? They're hoping that their demands will work with Apple and the Google. So if that goes through, then you might actually see it come out of their app store, and of course that will be pretty much the death of any app. Once it's removed from those stores, it's really hard for them to be relevant and come back. I know Gab and others have had a very hard time since then. So not as easy as when you could just stay in the app store.
So by the way, great comment, Megan. I'll get to that comment, and actually, Dex, if you can. Let's see if I think. Hold on, I wanted to make sure. Okay, I didn't. Yeah, Dex, if you can, Gates' purchase of more farmland blocked. If that's something we've already covered, it sounds very familiar. But if it's not, let's add it up to the news. Apparently, Bill tried to buy more farmland and it was blocked. That's why you guys are all part of this. Thank you, Megan. Megan Hare, 525, said, as far as the TikTok thing, when they say it's a sophisticated surveillance tool, really think about what TikTok does. Now, most of you may know of at least what it is. Some of you have used it. When you use those filters that actually track your face, do you realize the technology that does that and tracks your face, changes it to something else? Same with Snapchat or any of these other ones. That is looking, and it's making a grid of your face, but not only that, it can do the same thing with the background. If you have 1 million, 2 million, 5 million, 20 billion people, 1 billion people on this app, and they are videotaping everything around them, and if you see these teenagers, they're everywhere. They're in grocery stores. There's people driving. That is basically getting video, and they can, just like in the Batman movie where he takes every video from the cell phones and he's able to see like a 3D picture of the world. That's the same thing that they could possibly do with this. And when they say sophisticated surveillance tool, think about it. If they have access to all cameras everywhere, I mean, you're walking around with a surveillance camera. Think about that. So I just want to make that relation to you, that same technology that allows them to change your face and make you look old, or make you look like you have rainbow glitter on your face. That's the same technology that is facial recognition. It's also item recognition, everything else. So they're able to find out things and even probably map out with their supercomputers or even some of their regular ones. They could put an algorithm together to actually make a map based off of all of this information coming in. It would immediately patch it all, and they would be able to see all sorts of things that most likely they wouldn't be able to unless they were physically there. Where things changed, buildings moved, military equipment, all sorts of things that people may catch in those videos. Just a thought, and if there's other things that I missed, let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear it. So yeah, it may be ripped, and I bet you TikTok stars are going to go on videos and say, they can't take this from us. They don't care that it may be an actual tool of another country trying to take over. They want to do their stupid, emoji faces. And then NATO, rapid response plan in disarray as it struggles to muster firepower. So we've covered in the last couple days, and some of you that may have missed this is a big deal. And I just found, I think 2 or 3 really great channels that I never knew about just recently. And because of the topic of the 300,000 put on high alert, I ended up putting that in there today to see if I found updates. And I found a few other channels that actually covered what we covered last night today. And there was a great one, I want to say by Riverstead Homesteading, and a couple others that were just great. That guy really had a great video on it. There was... Prepper Nerd, just found Prepper Nerd. I'm surprised I didn't know about him before. He does an entire TV guide for all prepper channels and things. Either way, I digress. So to go back to the point though, is 300,000 on high alert. There are claims that we are at DEFCON 5. There are claims that we are at the highest alert level since the missile crisis, which happened with all of Cuba. So how much of that is true? How much of that is real? Well, it seems like a lot of it is actually happening. And one of the thoughts on this is that they are doing a full reset, and the US dollar is about to collapse, and there's a possible collapse of our whole economic system. The fact that they were able to basically make the same amount of money, Vlad, without the SWIFT system, and all of these other countries are doing everything to make sure that they make even, as much as they were or more, that's bad. These sanctions did not hurt Vlad, and now it's becoming very apparent. And now they're setting up, because of this, they're setting up all of these additional systems, and the ruble and yuan, they are all moving up. Again, there are people that would call, channels like this and channels like Off Grid and everything else. They say that it's fear mongering. I hate to say it, but at this point, you can't be afraid. You gotta buck up, and you have to look at what's going on around you. There's a lot of people around you that are just thinking it's kooky to try to prepare. At this point, we've got to just kind of leave them in the dust and get ready. Do what we can. Tell them, if you need to try to get your friends and family to prepare, be smart about it. Be responsible about it. And don't try to scare people into it. Just try to do it one step at a time, like we talked about last night. Because at this point, people need to have some sort of backup plan for their own stuff. And, worry about your family when you have time after you get yourself set up. I really believe that stuff is going down right now, and we're not going to find out until that last row of trees is cut down. And then you'll see miles and miles of clear land. And of course, they do that on purpose so nobody complains that they're cutting down trees, right? Well, I think they're cutting down trees right now, and we're going to see soon a huge plot of land. If you get that analogy, thumbs up because you watched the show. And it says Jens Stoltenberg's pledge of 300,000 strong NATO rapid response force has been thrown into disarray as alliance members refuse to commit their troops. Why would they refuse to commit their troops? Do you think that these countries think this is about to go to conflict? What do you think, Dex?
Yeah, it's questionable as to whether or not they're worried about holding on to their troops, or if they're having some, you know, concerns about joining into this force. And by the way, that's a lot. That's a huge number. 300,000 is massive. I mean, compared to what they've done and how many they had, it was, what did we report yesterday? 40,000, now going up to 300,000 or whatever it was.
It's seven times.
It's
Seven
a
times the amount.
Yeah, it's a significant number. So you know, these other countries don't necessarily have that that large of a force. So I guess it is a significant number to them too when they think about contributing. And I think we're somewhere in the neighborhood of 100,000 right now in Europe. And a majority of those, I'm assuming, are going to be part of this, if not all. Well, not all, but most, right? So it's a big investment on their part. So I can see why they would be reserved on it. But the real question is, are they reserved on the whole notion of supporting NATO and the actions that NATO is taking? Because if that's the case, then if you start to see cracks in this alliance, then that just fuels the other side, right? And that's gonna create, more opportunity for the other side to act upon it.
As we get closer to a potential WW3 scenario, or as this unfolds, we may even see countries completely flip sides. Think about it. If they really do have information, or if they find out information that, hey, this side's going to lose, they're gonna try to get a spot at the table on the other side. If you don't think that this is really happening, then I would say look at the news and everything that came out before WW2. People act like that was some sort of ancient time. There was media all over the place. The same games were being played. The same Ganda was being put out before WW2. The same Ganda was getting put out before WW1. On both sides, on all 10 sides, however many countries involved. This is a big deal, because now it is starting to actually unfold. The money is going where it needs to go. It's going into the right politicians' pockets, so they can start this thing. I don't know who is pushing for this, but it seems, I think it all goes back, my opinion is back to Xi. I think that part of this is so they are switching over from the dollar to something else to try to get it off of a different currency, and to get off of oil and get onto, one of these other currencies backed by either crypto and gold or whatever combination. I am by no means a financial expert, but I have talked to enough that are, and they believe that we are heading into some Venezuelan times. So not good. Again, Venezuela was one of the richest countries before what happened, and a lot of people didn't see that coming. So just be aware that these are the same kind of events that have happened before, time and time again. And I'm sure it happened before the civil conflict. There was just less media coverage. What do you think, though? Do you disagree? Let me know politely in the comments down below. I'd love to hear it. And you can always write a long comment. As long as it's polite, you can, I believe, I don't know if there's even a limit on that. Joseph Newhouse says, hey, I made a follow-up on the show yesterday with a clip from Umbrella 3 show that you recommended. Joseph, I'd love to, next time we do a call-in, you got to call in and tell me what you thought about that show. Big Diamond Chase just subscribed. Thank you. Again, I don't see you as a subscriber. I see you as a person, so thank you so much. And Jennifer Nelmida, if you don't follow the Cosmopolitan and the Cosmopolitan 2 on TikTok, you need to check her out. I will make sure to do so. I will at least give it a chance. And then, again, Simply Pony. Hello, Marfooglers. What is going on? So if you have a comment on this, let me know in the chat or in the comments down below. NATO invites Sweden and Finland to join. So, Dex, can you explain why this is a little bit different from yesterday?
Well, yeah. So yesterday we were talking that finally Turkey has dropped. I think it was Erdogan had dropped his or Iridon, sorry, I pronounced that wrong, had dropped his request to not allow them in, obviously getting somewhere in his negotiations and getting something for it. So now that that's gone, there's no longer the barrier. The next step is, are they going to go in? And so what happened now is NATO actually came out and invited them formally. So in addition to them asking and applying, now NATO has invited them in. So they're basically all but in. I guess there's probably some sort of ratification has to go through and some things that they have to do. And it may take a little bit of time, but for all intents and purposes, they're basically on the track to be going in now at this point. Everyone's in agreement. So I guess the next question is, what does this mean for Vlad? What does this mean for any other countries that are not part of NATO that may be thinking of joining? Obviously, UKR has ambitions, and others in that area would have ambitions to potentially join, to go against the opposite side, or go against Vlad, so to speak, and look for protection from that alliance. So that's what we got to watch. What happens next? People need
to pay attention. So first of all, if you've been following the last week, from saying, oh, this might take a year or take 2 years. That was what was said in. They were like, "Oh, this could take a year, 2 years, but we'll fast track it, right? Maybe a year." Now, all of a sudden, Turkey's objections are gone. Gone. Somebody pay whatever needed to be done. Whatever gold bars he just got dropped off on his doorstep, or whatever $20 bill times $1 billion got dropped in his bank account. Something happened. Now he's not saying anything. The next day they go, we want to invite you in. If we see in just a few weeks or days that this just somehow they fast track them in, these are the most neutral countries out there. These Nordic countries are completely and utterly, they were not involved on either side. They didn't want to be. All of a sudden, not only now they're about to join NATO, if they fast track it even faster, then we know something's about to go down. I'm sorry, that to me, that would really stick out if they get them in like that. If it's really, really fast, look at how this has progressed. It went from, maybe we could fast track it and they would do it over a year. Maybe we could fast track it, get it 6 months. I mean, now it's like boom, boom, boom. Are they preparing something? And then they talk about the 300,000 troops, and they're even trying to get the troops, and countries are like, we don't want to send troops. Maybe those countries that are saying we don't want to send troops, maybe they have a thought, like maybe they know something. Maybe they know like this is about to go down. And then of course you got Roscosmos, Rogozin from the basically the Vladian NASA. Putting out the GPS coordinates for all of these different things, the Pentagon, NATO, all of this stuff, and saying by Tuesday or whatever for this summit, saying here's all the coordinates to all these important places, the president's house, the French president's residence, all of this stuff, just in case. Now, that could be, of course, saber-rattling. But every one of these times, you're thinking, could it not be? What if they're about to take down a bunch of satellites? What if all of these countries are actually preparing for a massive WW3? And then others, I heard, I want to say it was Riverside Homestead, and I believe his question was if they are running out of conventional weapons, and would that mean that they would go to other kinds of weapons? It was at least a thought, right? So this is getting pretty crazy here. Let's see here. I do want to... Sorry, Dex, I forgot to tell you about something. I'm going to send you a text of somebody I would like to show in another new channel that I found. Really, really awesome channel. And then I was hoping you could put this in screener. And let's see. And I hope that we can share it and have everybody go check them out. And then Dex, I just sent it, so it'll probably take a minute. What do you guys think about this? And as far as from 1 day turnaround from the objections being cleared to them formally going, come on in. All right, and then before we talk about videos debunk Vladian lies about missile strike on UKR, which again, we're not going to go over like what we think is true or not, but we will say we called it 1 or 2 days. We're going to get the response, and we're going to give you that response. I do want to tell you that there is an actual way to protect yourself against an electromagnetic pulse. We can't do anything about the entire planet, but we can try to protect ourselves. And most of you already know, no one's going to come save you. No one is going to come turn your power back on so you can, take care of your family or raise your kids or anything like that. If we do have a massive EMP, there's a way to protect against it. More so than that, there is also a way to protect against CMEs, the natural kind, which are much more likely. In fact, they are guaranteed. It happens on average every 140 years, and we're at 150. This is a device that is actually used by agencies like DHS, DOD, and of course the DEMSO team helping protect the Texas grid. This company was actually one of the few companies mentioned in the actual Department of Homeland Security EMP resilience report back when T-Man, our previous president, actually signed an executive order hardening our grid. That is why we've chosen it. We believe that this will save lives. We honestly think that if either one of these big things happen, that this will keep a car running. This will keep a motorcycle running. This will keep your generator going. This will keep your solar system working. This will keep your house and all of the devices wired in within a range working. So this is a big deal. It's not going to turn the grid back on, but what it can do is it can ground the signal of all 3 phases of an EMP and a Carrington level event in less than 500 trillionths of a second. So it is something that I believe is an amazing product. It's 100% American made. It's a veteran-owned business, and the actual people at the company are all preppers. These are people that have been in our community even before this company existed. Some of them were even YouTubers doing the same thing. So again, make sure to go check it out. marfugglenews.com/EMP. You will get $50 off per device. If you need to protect 1, 2, 3 cars, you'll get $50 off per device. And that way you'll get to where you're trying to go when no one else is. marfugglenews.com/EMP. Go and check out all of the different devices. The car version, the most popular, takes about 10 minutes to put in your car. All right, so... All right. And then before we go into this, I do want to show a channel here. Dex, were you able to get it in the screener?
Yeah, I gave you a link in there. It's a link to a video, though. Let me get the channel off of it. Do you want the video itself, or do you want the channel?
Well, no, that's fine. I can click on the...
Yeah, the link in there is to the video. I'll put the link to the channel on the website.
All right, so... just to start off, this gentleman served his country, ex-military, a very humble guy, incredibly sincere, and now I have watched quite a few of his videos, and I really do approve. This was actually a suggestion from a close friend of mine, and once I found it, I really did appreciate this gentleman. So this is all day, every day preparedness. And I won't play too much of this again. This is all day, every day preparedness. And if you remember, if you've been here long enough for the Love Mobs, I hope that we all surprise this gentleman with a really great and positive day and go over and subscribe. So there's almost 5,000 people here. I hope that we can get them over whatever hump they may be at. All day, every day preparedness. Now, tomorrow I'll talk about more about who suggested them. But again, it's a close friend of mine and a fellow YouTuber. This was a really great suggestion. And what's funny is after I put this one in, all of a sudden I was opened up to channels, to 3 other channels. So here's the cool part about when you do go subscribe to channels like this, all of a sudden the algorithm opens up like a few more. It's like I unlocked something by putting this one in, and I got 3 or 4 channels that were related to them, how the algorithm says like, oh, this channel watches this channel too. This guy is really great. You'll see what I mean once you watch his last video. Again, he does a really great job. He puts time into it, and I believe he really is an amazing human being to go support. So I hope everybody goes over and shows support. Tell them Marfoogle sent you. And again, tell them Tell them something positive. All right. All day, every day, preparedness. He's, again, a great guy. Make sure to go love Mom. All right. And then tomorrow we will pull up his channel with the friend that suggested him, and we will take a gander at it together. All right. And then to go into this, so when we covered this, many of you probably missed the other day, but we talked about this shopping mall that got hit. And there was no reaction from the other side. There was no official statement on if this was done or if this wasn't. Dex, what are they saying?
Well, of course, their official statement is, hey, we only hit legitimate military targets near the mall. That was the claim from Vlad. But what came out today was this video, and I gave you an image from it. So if you want to go grab that out of screener as well, you can show it, because it shows what they're talking about when we read the article. But basically, they've said, hey, we've got video footage of the incident as it happened, and they caught basically this, what they've identified as an X-22 cruise missile going into that shopping center. So we always have to take any type of video with a grain of salt, but at the same time, that's what's being reported, and we're just sharing what's being reported because we've talked about the fact that both sides of this have made their statements. The UKR said, hey, you took out a shopping mall that had people in it, and a lot of people were perished and many more wounded, and Vlad is saying, no, we didn't do that.
Well, what's crazy, so there was the Amtrak event here, and people talk about that. One thing, though, is I think it's kind of telling that you have regional events that, of course, people say they send their thoughts and prayers out to, but most people say if this happened in UKR, not a lot of people are saying, our thoughts or prayers with the people here, or if this happened, say, in Vlad country, do you think that people would be talking about how many perished? Obviously, people paid attention to this Amtrak thing. They said, hey, the count has gone up to this and this, and people care. But when it happens other places in the world, it's funny that just people don't realize these are all humans. Wherever they're at, these are humans that have perished, and children. As far as the official story, this could definitely be a Fantastic Freddy. Maybe this is why everybody's like, hey, get in here right now. You don't know what's going on. That's why, as a prepper community, and as the Foogle fam and every other fam and community out here, we're looking at it and trying to tell a pattern so we can at least be a somewhat, even a quarter step ahead. And I think something is definitely going down right now, especially with the tit for tats that are going on right now. There's more gear over there. There's more money getting tied in and put in people's pockets. So just be aware, and this is the time to get some sort of plan together. I am hoping and I am praying that absolutely nothing happens. I very much so am against a WW3 scenario, and I'm positively trying to think of one being averted magically in my brain. I'm putting it out of the universe, and I'm saying, hey, this is going to fix itself. But I am going to be responsible and try to prepare as if it is. And I know that kind of contradicts it, but I believe something is about to go down, and that's my real thoughts, and that's most of yours as well. I can tell from everyone's messages that people are starting to get a little bit hyped up. It's something, if you think that people have intuition, think about all of us sensing something so big that you can't not feel it. So that's what I feel is going on, and I sorry if I'm if you don't agree. If you don't feel that way, let me know how you feel, and let me know if you agree with me. For a long time, it was hard for me to tell even family and friends, because there is that stigma around people that are prepping and think that something's going to go wrong, that you're the crazy person with the cardboard sign saying the nigh is near, and you get judged for it. People think you're a loopy. They think you're loony bin. I'm sure some people are loony bin, but again, I think that this is not something that we should be, selling our house and digging a hole and living in the woods yet. But I do believe you should be taking responsible steps. That's my honest thoughts on it. And then a dire warning. Vlad could invade Europe within a year. Okay, so do you remember before this, we covered 6 months? Dex, we covered 6 months before anyone was talking about, before the mainstream was talking about this. We were talking about the independent kind of peeps and pips from Twitter and Telegram and all this, and people muttering. We covered a year before they actually went into UKR. And there were these kind of articles, oh, it could happen, and they could do this, and they could go and practice putting 300,000 on the border of this and that. Now they're saying it for Europe. It's starting to come together, and I think most of you actually got prepared. You know, most of you, you're following what I'm throwing down here. It seems like this is actually really progressing, and that's not a good thing, but we have to stay positive. Dex, what do you think? This is pretty crazy.
Why else would NATO be calling to put a wall of 300,000 troops together, right? I mean, if they're trying to do that, and of course they're having trouble getting it and mustering them up, but if they're trying to do that, they're not just doing it because it's a beautiful sunshiny day outside and they want to go play in the park. I mean, things are ramping up, or at least they are ramping things up on their front. And so as we continue to look at the rhetoric that's coming out, as we continue to look at the intelligence communities and what they're saying and spouting off, and of course we take all of it with a grain of salt, but at the same time, you know, like you said, a year ago we were talking about UKR and we said, hey, this is probably going to happen. They're doing this, and it's not just a drill, it's a setup, it's a plan. There's all these things coming together, and sure enough, like we said, it would probably kick off late fall, and it did. They started to ramp it up again late fall, and then by February they were heading in. So it did come true. It doesn't mean that we're predicting it. It's just we're reading the information that's out there, and we have to sort of take all of it and, you know, take some of it as valid and try to figure out what we can decipher from what they're telling us and decipher from the actions that are going on. Like I said, you don't put 300,000 troops together because you're going to have a dance party, right? There's something serious behind that.
And this is, again, coming from the president of UKR, Zelensky, said, but Vlad might be coming for European countries beyond UKR in approximately a year's time anyways. Funny how this all lines up with Deagle's somehow crazy predicted timeline of the 24-25 huge drop in our pop. These are the signs that I believe are put right in front of us, but people don't want to pay attention, or they distract themselves enough. And this is why I warned about today's show. Hopefully people that are just overly nervous and you want to say fear porn, well, fear porn would be trying to rile people up. I told people at the beginning of the show that this is not going to be a fun one for the people that get easily stressed out. I told them to leave. I hope they did. But again, I also hope they didn't, because I hope they understand this is becoming a real thing, and most of us need to stop being afraid of telling people this, but also figure out how we're going to tell our friends and family this without seeming like a total nut. That's a really hard thing to do, and I've been realizing over the last couple of days after that call, a lot of people messaged and they said, I have such a hard time telling my friends and family this, or if I even start bringing it up, it's like, I don't want to hear it. That's what people's reaction are to this, and they think it's just completely absurd. And my sister pointed out that that basically a lot of people are not even talking about Vlad and this anymore. That's not the main focus anyways. Somebody commented and said something like, oh yeah, everything's a big distraction. Good advice. And I get where they're coming from. They're saying, like, you know, you call everything that's happening a distraction. Yeah. If it's happening from mainstream and from the main 5 companies that are at the top of this like crazy pyramid, then yeah. What's crazy for people to get the concept around, to wrap their head around, is the fact that there are so many channels, there's so much entertainment, there's so many social media networks, but they all go up to just a few. So like the videos of all the news channels saying the same exact thing, it's because they're all owned by these things, and it trickles down. So they're given instructions, and it goes down to millions and millions of people, and we're all trained the same. And if you don't believe me, go back to what has been declassified about the different operations that go on with our media. It's a real thing. In fact, it's confirmed real. So why are people having such a hard time figuring this out? Everything we read here, we question. Question everything. Do not just take a headline for its face value. Ask questions. That's what we do here. We don't just cover mainstream. We question it. That should be like that should be like taken in clip and put in with some like dun dun dun. Wait, where's my... Nah, that's not it. It should have like dun dun dun. That's what we do here. Dun, dun, dun. We question it. Yeah. I don't know. It seemed way cooler in my head, but Vlad threatens retaliation against Norway over access to the Arctic islands. Now, another Nordic country here getting somewhat involved. It said that Vlad said on Wednesday that restrictions imposed by Norway were blocking goods for Vladian populated settlements on the Arctic archipelago of Svalbard, which we talked about the other night, and threatened unspecified retaliatory measures unless Oslo resolves the issue. You could look at this too, like, are they trying to find reasons to be pissed off at all of these Baltic states and Nordic states? I don't know. Dex, what do you think about this?
Well, on one hand, they have a treaty that gives them access to that land, and that land is populated by Vlad's people in certain areas. So they've always had the ability to ship goods into there. But the problem is with the sanctions that are in place, they have to go through a certain point, a checkpoint, and they're getting denied. Even though under the treaty they had signed, those should still be there and should still be allowed in. So the argument on both sides is probably fair. One side is doing what it thinks is right, and the other side is saying, "Hey, you said you wouldn't do this for this one small section. Fine, do it for your whole country, but we still need to get to our people that are there, and you're blocking it." So we'll have to see how it plays out. But it's definitely, again, additional. When you start talking about retaliatory measures and you're talking with one country to another, these can turn into bigger words than just what maybe in a headline.
So that's exactly why we are bringing it up. And of course, in Norway, the sentiment is we talked about this before too. People in Norway believe there's a sentiment that they believe they are one of the next on this list to be taken over. There are several, creators or influencers from Norway saying that they're very nervous about this. Whether it's true or not, they are definitely being told by local governments that this is a possibility. In fact, the Norwegian preppers are some of the most skilled, actually. So it may come from their Viking heritage. Again, I know my family is Norwegian, so... but what do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Are you watching from Norway? Let me know. And then, by the way, big shout out to Darren. Thank you so much for the beautiful painting that you sent me through email. The original, I'm sure, is just absolutely gorgeous. I didn't get how big that thing was, though. It's so detailed. I will try to show your painting if I can. I do want to ask a quick prayer for one of our members, 11 Pagan 11. Her daughter is in a very, very bad shape, and she is asking for prayers. If you are one to pray, then please join everyone else and pray. I am praying for her daughter to make a quick recovery. Again, it is something that I believe everybody should be able to do, whether it's prayers or positive vibes or thoughts, whatever you want to put her way. She is young. She still has a whole lot of life ahead of her, so please make sure to have her in your prayers. All right, and then... And thank you for the link, by the way. All right, and we have we do have, should we, I want to say we have an image here. I'm going to show the image that this was for the previous missile strike that shows or possibly proves or says that this is the X-22 thing. So, by the way, we've seen this kind of thing being done for famous events that was done by like just a random person on Twitter. One thing I wonder is why is it like wobbly? It looks like it's how did they get a picture like that?
Well, and this is the picture that the article used. I'm assuming it's from the video itself, but when you look at it, the other thing I ask is where's the shopping mall? I mean, is it behind the trees maybe? I don't know. Because when we look at the pictures of the shopping mall, it's totally different. And I don't know. This is what they're calling the smoking bang bang, I guess. But I don't know.
It looks like there's a bunch of fuel
the video in the article.
There's a bunch of fuel. And by the way, it almost looks like the tail end of a jet, only somebody like dragged the end of it with an app or something. I'm not saying that it's fake. I'm just telling you what I think. Look at the weird wavy lines. I'll have to look at one of those missiles. But do you guys see what I mean? It's like bloated. Maybe that's the camera. Maybe it's the heat, hot weather. But do you see how it has humps on the top and on the bottom? And then that I'm looking at that X-22 and it looks like it's got some wings on it too. So it probably has that shape. It could be the shadow of the angle it is and the wings. I see towers in the back and I see fuel. Lots of it looks like a junkyard. But it has a lot of like propane tanks and things. So,
well, and keep in mind that this is probably from like a CCT camera, so don't expect high quality still frames, right?
Well, that's why I'm saying how did it get such a perfect picture of this? They got a picture of this, but they couldn't get a picture of the one that hit our 5-sided office over in Washington D.C. I guess the cameras have come a long way since 2001, but still, surveillance cameras really haven't. A lot of them, not much. But anyways, that is there. We will attach that on our website, so you'll have a chance to go over and look. We just take everything with a grain of salt, and we always ask questions. All right, and then just quickly go over. Thank you, by the way, everybody that popped in. Looks like close to 5,000 tonight. Thank you so much. Blessed to have each and every one of you guys here. Thank you so much. Life is Better on Stilts. Kimbria, thank you for the Ninja Guinea over on DLive. Karen from Columbus. Chewy Weather. Again, we have Nomad 5700. Charity 1956 says life is short. Sorry, something's blocking it. Life is short. Give your life to Jesus Christ. Thank you, Charity, and I appreciate the sentiment there and the comment. God bless you. And good vibrations, everyone. Radiate truth and positivity. I agree with that. Family drama last night. Had to catch replay. Kimberly, I hope you and your family, everybody, squares up and forgives each other. Right now is hard times for pretty much everybody's family. And it's just, you just got to keep your head up and keep positive. Everyone here, I believe, has probably had a really rough 3 years. So I hope that all of you guys are having a better year this year. And I hope we have some time before any of this happens. I hope it never happens. I really do. But you have to be realistic about what you're telling people, especially you can't sugarcoat this stuff. You can straight up lie and say everything's going to be okay. But unfortunately, even if the conflict doesn't happen, it looks like prices are going to go up. We are probably heading into hyperinflation, a possible collapse of the dollar. And, of course, we have the whole list of natural disasters that they say are basically due or overdue. So it's not trying to look at it half empty. It's kind of like saying, hey, there's a half full glass of water there, and it might spill, so put a napkin on your lap. All right, and then thank you, everybody that has popped in over to YouTube. Thank you, everybody that supported tonight. Kanos Kid, Be Real Beast, Derek McLovin, Jade Hansen, Joseph Newhouse. Can't wait to see your video. Make sure to go over and, of course, check out all day, every day preparedness. And Virginia Prepper, Marfoogle fam, it auto-corrected. Hey, thank you. By the way, thank you, Virginia Prepper. Another prep. We have so many cool preppers in this fam. Hey, Foogle fam, I posted 2 shorts off of jets and military helicopters flying around on flight radar. It's crazy how much activity training is going on in our country. Stay safe, stay prepped. We need to look out for each other. I agree, Virginia Prepper. I totally 100% agree with that. Nana of Montana. I tell people with me prepping may give them chance to get food in the store if they're _may. So, by the way, Nana of Montana, here's the thing. Anybody that went through CV and went to the Costco's and went to the store and everything was cleared out, the toilet paper was weeks away, people then should have woken up. And the fact that nobody, that nobody is on average, still people have an average of 3 days of food in their fridge, and I just can't believe that. It's crazy to me that people are not seeing the potential for this to happen again. Moses, it's very dangerous. Who leaked out the bang bang weapons? They are targets added to national security. So I want to point this out. If Xi did, come over here and take our country by force, I know that's a crazy thought, and just in the slight chance of it, think about what houses they would go to, or if they came onto the coast, who would they need to get first? Not saying that's what happened, but it's crazy to think that all of those California Bang Bang owners now are on a list. So if somebody were to roll up on the beach, they would know exactly where to go to, that those would be the targets.
Drone swarm.
Drone. Oh, my gosh. Oh, that is creepy. They wouldn't even have to go in manually. They would just go in with the drones, hit every single address. They wouldn't have to worry about any of those people. They would just wipe those houses. Boom, 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 boom. All of those locations first. And do you know that they're practicing with the ports? They're specifically practicing. Xi is practicing with these extremely specific weapons that would take out ports and docks. I mean, and then to build all of their civilian ferries to be able to go across the ocean and to be able to take tanks. I mean, this is adding up to beyond where somebody can deny this. I'm sorry. Special operations equipment. There is no fear-mongering here. Conspiracy theory becomes fact in less than a week. I agree with you. There's very few that actually do end up as just theories anymore. I think they all tried to off Dr. Carrie Madij. I did it on a video tonight. They also jailed Dr. Simone Gold from AFLD. Everything has been engineered and ready for activation. The fallen have such superior knowledge and deception. God is our only salvation, worse than we know. Bible Talk 777. Again, thank you so much. Bible Talk, if you can send me information in my email about that stuff, I'm very curious about the whole both of those doctors. And then Jennifer Nelmida, thank you so much. I appreciate you stopping in tonight. Thank you so much. And tomorrow, I think I will have another prepper to show you. I found a lot of great people today. By the way, we will have Alaska Prepper on tomorrow. We are going to do, on top of a few news articles and things like that, we're going to do our normal show, but we are also going to have kind of a lengthened call with Alaska Prepper, and I think it's about time. I love his perspective on this. I love his positive outlook on it, but at the same time, he is straight up with it. And he has a lot of great tips. He is the one I have recommended to you for years about, of course, all of the payday preps. He is able to tell you how to prepare for cheaper, most affordable. He literally takes his paycheck every 2 weeks, and he does an affordable way to do it. He is a rapidly growing channel. You should, among all day, every day preparedness. If you don't know who he is, I've mentioned him every night this week, basically. Make sure to go check out Alaska Prepper as well. We will have him on tomorrow, and we possibly may have Wages. Either way, in the next couple days, we'll also have Wages World talking about the solar events that are going on, and we have plans for many, many more guests. So thank you guys for coming tonight, and make sure to tune in every day this week. Thank you, Andrew Myrick and Sherry D, for subscribing. Virginia Prepper, Chaos for You. Thank you for subscribing. Everybody, thank you for joining the Marfia. Lots of new people to greet. So, Foogle fam, you guys know what to do. Make sure to make people feel welcome. Push them up. Positive reinforcement. And again, not trying to be cliche, we need one place where we can go where we're not called crazy and not called loopy. Dex, thank you so much for tonight. I appreciate you. And do you want to go over the web only?
Yeah, absolutely. So head over to marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for the show, or open that description on YouTube and click on the show notes link. It's the first link there. First off, don't miss the off-grid contest. We've talked about it every day. There's probably 6 or 7 days left. We're getting down into the final week. Make sure you go there and sign up if you want to win this backpack. It's an incredible backpack. Stores a laptop, a tablet, a phone, a key fobs, all of that stuff in individual Faraday bags so they can't be tracked or traced. No data will go in or out. It'll be completely blocked out, as well as protected from an EMP, CME, etc. This is a bag that is like designed for covert operations. This was designed for 3-letter agencies when they were traveling abroad so that their equipment would never be picked up, right? That's what this is. It throws 2 days worth of clothes in it, pack some gear in it. It's a really high quality bag. So go check it out. Make sure you sign up for that if you want to win that from Off Grid. They're awesome. While you're here, scroll down. You'll get to all the articles we talked about and maybe 1 or 2 that we didn't get to. And then you're going to run into the overflow, which is everything we couldn't get to because there's just so much. We try to make sure we give you as much news as we possibly can. So if you get down to that yellow bar, you'll find everything else. So the Speaker of the House, if many of you may have heard, she wasn't able to receive communion, or they tried to prevent that where she lived. So what did she do? She went to Rome, and you'll find out what happened there. Lots of other stuff in the political spectrum, especially what was going on with the recent rulings that came out from the Supreme Court, as well as the other stuff that's been going on with the hearings. All of that updates are there, including some of the more scandalous things that were coming out. Everyone's favorite doctor is in the news still. You can find out what's happening to him and his he's dealing with that cough that we've all been dealing with for the past 2.5 years. You can find out what has been going on specifically with him and much more. So this is where you're going to get the rest of the story. Everything else is there, even an R. Kelly update if you care to know. So that and much more on marfooglenews.com. Click on the thumbnail for the show, or on YouTube, just open the description and click on the show notes link. It'll take you right here.
Put the keys in the ignition and go to prison. That's the new song. R. Kelly, 30 years in prison for being a complete piece of... All right, you guys have a great night. Thank you, everybody that stopped in. And, yeah, thank you so much, everybody. I appreciate each and every one of you. Love you guys. And just remember, no matter what happens, you can... It's a lot of this is mental. Keep in a positive state. Push each other up. Positivity as much as you can. I am not perfect at it. Trust me. We're all human beings here. We know that we all have weaknesses. We know that we're not able to fully handle this. What we're trying to do here is desensitize at least the shock of what's coming, so most people can be aware enough to figure out what they're going to do next. I explained it when there was an earthquake a couple years ago, but one thing that it got us to practice and to have our go bags ready and everything else is within like 15 seconds of a pretty big earthquake, the whole house dropped off. It was like a 4.6, 4.7, but it was centered right underneath me. Just the whole ground dropped out. The lamp next to my wife's bed actually went up about 1.5 inches and then slammed back down. It felt like I've never felt an earthquake like that. I've been in 4 now, and one of the big ones was the Nisqually. That one was so centered underneath me, it went whoosh, and I was on the phone with all my mods when that happened, and the ground dropped from underneath me. We didn't know if there was a bigger one coming, especially since I knew about Cascadia, everything else. 15 seconds, we were out the door. I was in my boxers. I did a video in my boxers if you care to go look. But 15 seconds, all of us were out with our bags. And that only came from practice. I was scared. I was hyperventilating. I was freaked out. but I had the mind, and it was muscle memory. It was grab your stuff and get out. Luckily, nothing really bad happened that day. There was no other crazy things. Cascade didn't drop off, or the Seattle fault or whatever didn't go off. But we were ready for it, and we were away from power lines. We were away from everything within like 15, 30 seconds. It was really impressive. I was really proud of my family and everything that we worked through. We were able to grab all the kids, boom, and head out. Now we practice again, because now we have another kid. We have, I want to say we only had, now I think we only had 2 kids at that time. Now we have 4. So now we have to practice for 4. How are we going to grab everybody, or how is everybody going to get out? That's what we're practicing now. So love you guys. Have a great night. It is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. This is where I say thank you to the people that matter most to you. If you are not into bad music, then I would highly recommend you tune out now. Have a good night, guys. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out.
Ready for rain, ready for change, ready for the winds of change. Ready for rain, ready for change, ready for the winds of change. Ready for rain, ready for change, ready for the winds of change. Ready for rain, ready for change, ready for the winds of change. Cognitive, Sven Sorensen and ball in the ghost, and Poco,
just want to point out, how did Maxwell get 20 years and R. Kelly got 30? Think about that. R. Kelly, I know R. Kelly's bad, but shouldn't R. Kelly have 30 years and Maxwell have like 1,000? She was involved with what we know was absolutely horrendous. That's called EpiPen privilege. She's a she, I guess. Yeah. Did she give up the names? That's a good question.
Ready for the winds of change. Ready for rain. Ready for change. Ready for the winds of change.
James Paget, Simon Pony, Ellie 78. I'm going back around now, going bowling. Alex Conrad, Eric Balti, KT, Cleans a lot, Alisa R, Paul Guy, everyone loving her. Got the Randy Man and the Soap Mode, the real Ostuo. She them names that protected them. Aside Ben got the band. CJ, CJD. I'll breathe the way on anyone. Serve the can, Lord June. Class action lawsuit. I love Jesus forever. Still won't die in a box. Vote 1-1 in the everybody guy. Oh, oh, oh. Whoa, oh, oh.
Ready for rain. Ready for change. Ready for the winds of change. Ready for rain. Ready for change. Ready for the winds of change. Ready for rain.